Picture it, it is barely dawn, and you are being carried half asleep out to a car that is packed to the ceiling. There is a cooler wedged by your feet, a paper map the size of a tablecloth on the front seat, and no screen anywhere in the entire vehicle. For the next 12 hours, this car is your whole world, and nobody in it can be reached by anyone outside it. This is not a list of things. This is the great American family road trip. Back before a phone told you where to go, 15 of them. See how many were you, and stay to the end, because some of what we did in that car would get a parent pulled over today. It all started with the map, a giant paper map unfolded across the whole front seat that could never once be folded back the same way. Mom was the navigator, tracing the highlighted line with her finger, and Dad drove with total confidence and absolutely refused to stop and ask for directions. Here is something wild. These maps used to be free. Gas stations gave them away by the hundreds of millions. In one single year, 1972, the oil companies handed out around 250 million free road maps. Then the 1973 fuel crisis hit, and just like that, the free map was gone. Who was the designated map reader in your family? And the night before, there was the packing of the car, which was an art form. The whole trip got loaded into a wood panel station wagon or a van, suitcases stacked like a puzzle, the cooler in reach, pillows and blankets crammed into every gap. Dad had a system, and it was not to be questioned. And then the kids got loaded in on top of it all, in whatever space was left, because the one thing nobody worried about was exactly where each kid was buckled. Was it a wagon, a van, or a sedan with the trunk tied down? Which brings us to the way back. The very rear of the station wagon facing backwards with no seat and definitely no seatbelt. You sat back there, watching the road unspool behind you, waving at the drivers behind, making faces at truckers to get them to honk. And here is the fact that stops people cold. Your car was legally required to have seatbelts starting with the 1968 models, but no law anywhere in America required you to actually wear one until New York passed the first seatbelt law in 1984. For 16 years, the belts just sat there, and we rode in the way back. Did you ride in the way back? And every one of these trips began in the dark. Dad had a plan to beat the traffic, which meant waking you at some ungodly hour, carrying you to the car in your pajamas, and hitting the road before the sun. You would fall back asleep to the hum of the tires and wake up an hour later in a completely different world, watching your own town disappear in the mirror. There is a specific magic to being on the highway before dawn as a kid. What time did your family always leave? Now let us talk about staying cool, because a lot of these cars had no air conditioning at all. So you ran what Dad proudly called 460 air conditioning, 4 windows down, going 60 miles an hour. The wind roared so loud you had to yell. Your hair became a disaster, and the back of your legs welded to the hot vinyl seat, peeling off with a sound when you finally moved. And somehow that hot wind and that sticky seat is summer itself. Tell me your car had no AC too. With no screens and hours to kill, you became an inventor of games. The license plate game, hunting all 50 states, counting cows, and losing them all if you passed a graveyard. Punch buggy, no punchbacks. The alphabet game off the billboards. I Spy, 20 questions, and the quiet game, which parents invented purely for their own survival. You did not need anything but a window and a bored imagination. Which car game was your family's religion? And of course, no matter how good the games were, it always came. Are we there yet? Asked for the 40th time, along with the great backseat border wars, the invisible line down the middle of the seat that a sibling's pinky finger crossed on purpose, the he's touching me, the don't make me turn this car around. You were packed shoulder to shoulder for 12 hours with the people you loved most and could not stand for one more mile. Who did you share that back seat with? And you did not stop at a drive-thru every 20 minutes because there was the cooler. Mom had packed sandwiches that got warm and a little soggy, a bag of chips, and drinks swimming in melting ice at the bottom. When it was time to eat, you pulled into a rest area with concrete picnic tables. Everybody piled out to stretch, and that slightly soggy sandwich eaten at a highway rest stop tasted better than it had any right to. What was always in your family's road trip cooler? For the truly prepared family, there was the TripTik. You went down to the WARIWASA office weeks early, and they made you a custom spiral flip book, of little map pages, one panel at a time, with your whole route drawn in. You flipped to the next page as you drove, and it felt like holding a treasure map. All of it planned by a human being at a desk, weeks before you ever turned the key. Did your family plan every stop, or just point the car and go? And the road itself was the entertainment. You watched for the billboards counting down to the world's largest ball of twine, the mystery spot, the giant roadside dinosaur. And for decades there were the Burma shave signs, little red rhyming signs spaced out along the highway, one line at a time, so you read a whole silly poem at 60 miles an hour. They ran from 1926 all the way to 1963, and they were basically the original scrolling feed, except it was made of wood and it was outside your window. Which roadside attraction did your family actually stop for? And if the trip was long enough, there was the Holy Grail, the motel with the pool. You watched for the neon vacancy sign blinking in the dusk, and the entire quality of the motel was judged on one thing, whether it had a pool. You would drive all day for the reward of cannonballing into a small blue rectangle of chlorine behind a Howard Johnson's, then sleep 4 to a room with the AC unit rattling under the window. Did you beg to stop at every motel with a pool? And because a paper map only helps if you can read it, sometimes you just got lost. Truly, completely lost, with Dad insisting he knew exactly where he was while Mom refolded the map in frustration. Eventually, somebody would give in and pull into a gas station to ask a stranger for directions, and that stranger would say, "Turn left at the church and go until you see the red barn." And somehow, that always worked. There was no blue dot. There was just a person and a guess and faith. And then, when the day finally wore you out, there was the best sleep of your childhood. You stretched out across the back seat or curled up in the way back on a pile of blankets, and the hum of the road and the passing streetlights sliding across the ceiling put you under. You would half wake to the murmur of your parents talking softly in the front, feeling completely safe, and drift off again. No child today gets to sleep in the back of a moving car like that. You can feel it right now, can't you? And here is the thing that is almost impossible to explain to a kid today. For that entire day, your family was a sealed capsule moving across the country, and no one on earth could reach you. No calls, no texts, no tracking, no checking in. Whatever was happening back home would just have to wait until you got there. It was your mom, your dad, your siblings, a cooler, and the road, and that was the whole world for 12 hours. We did not know how rare it would become to be that unreachable, that together. And then finally you arrived. The car doors flew open and everybody spilled out, stiff and cranky and thrilled. And Dad said the 4 words that ended every trip. Well, we made it. You had crossed half a country with a paper map, no AC, and no way to call for help. And you made it every single time. The trip was never really about the destination. It was those 12 hours in the car, the whole family sealed in together, that you would give anything to have back. Where did your family always go? So that was the road trip. The paper map, the way back, 460 air conditioning, the cooler, the pool, and a whole family unreachable together for a day. Every one of those miles was teaching you something we did not have a word for then, that the people in the car mattered more than the place at the end of it. That is what this channel is, holding on to the things that made us before they slip away. So tell me, and I read every single comment, where did your family go? And which memory hit the hardest? And do the thing, tag the brother, sister, or parent who was in that car with you. If this took you back, subscribe. There is a new one every week.